Won't believe what just happened. Tucker Carlson gets the shock of a lifetime as a gigantic 100-foot wide crack tears open the ground near the ominous Yellowstone Volcano. Stay tuned as we dive into this earth-shattering event and find out just how close Tucker was to being swallowed by the Earth. You don't want to miss this. Yellowstone National Park is home to the Yellowstone caldera, a geological feature that holds the distinction of being the largest supervolcano on Earth, among the 20 known supervolcanoes worldwide. The Yellowstone caldera is regarded as posing the highest threat. This massive volcanic system spans an impressive 30 by 40 miles, encompassing a vast area within the park. The Yellowstone caldera's immense size and volcanic potential make it a significant concern for scientists and experts studying natural disasters. A supervolcano eruption from the Yellowstone caldera would have catastrophic consequences on a global scale. The release of enormous amounts of volcanic ash and gases into the atmosphere would not only impact the surrounding region, but would also cause significant disruptions to the Earth's climate. Given the potential magnitude of such an eruption, ongoing monitoring and research efforts are crucial to better understand the behavior and potential triggers of the Yellowstone caldera. This knowledge is vital for developing effective mitigation strategies and preparing for any future volcanic activity that could endanger human lives and have far-reaching consequences for the planet. The emergence of a fissure-crack within the Yellowstone caldera is a matter of significant concern, particularly in light of previous indications of magma activity beneath the park. The fact that the ground has experienced uplift and bulging in the past suggests that there is active movement and pressure from molten rock beneath the surface. The presence of a fissure crack in the Yellowstone caldera raises alarm bells, because it could serve as a pathway for the release of volcanic material and potentially lead to an eruption. Given the scale and potential destructive power of the Yellowstone caldera as a supervolcano, any signs of increased activity warrant close attention and monitoring. Scientists and experts are closely studying the fissure crack and its implications to assess the level of risk it poses. Understanding the behavior and potential consequences of the magma activity beneath the park is essential for developing contingency plans and mitigating the potential impacts of a volcanic event. Continued monitoring and research efforts will be crucial in order to ensure the safety and well-being of those residing near the Yellowstone caldera and its surrounding areas. The last super eruption at Yellowstone, dating back 631,000 years ago, was not a singular massive explosion, but rather a sequence of eruptions or the result of multiple events expelling volcanic material in rapid succession. This new understanding comes from recent research conducted by the U.S. Geological Survey's Yellowstone Volcano Observatory. The study's findings indicate that the formation of the Yellowstone caldera, a large crater resulting from the collapse of a volcano following an eruption, was much more intricate than previously believed. Yellowstone is renowned for being one of the largest volcanic systems worldwide, situated above a hotspot in the Earth's mantle. Over the past 3 million years, it has experienced 3 caldera-forming eruptions, with the most recent being the Lava Creek eruption. Super eruptions, like the Huckleberry Ridge Tuff and Lava Creek events, are characterized by the expulsion of immense volumes of material, exceeding 240 cubic miles, which is 1,000 cubic kilometers. This discovery of a multi-eruption scenario during the last super eruption at Yellowstone provides valuable insights into the volcanic system's behavior. While there is currently no immediate risk of eruption, this research sheds light on the potential phases and patterns that could be observed in future eruptions at Yellowstone. Further investigations are underway to examine the newly discovered units and their boundaries, aiming to reconstruct a more detailed picture of the Lava Creek eruption and uncover potential triggering factors. In the event that the Yellowstone volcano erupts at some point in the future, a variety of things have the potential to take place. A number of earthquakes would be the very first thing that would take place prior to any actual eruption or significant volcanic activity taking place. Earthquakes are a necessary precursor to volcanic eruptions, because they move and adjust the crust of the Earth to a point where it is possible for lava and magma to erupt from the Earth. Following a large number of earthquakes of varying magnitudes and intensities, an eruption would be nearly inevitable. Given Yellowstone National Park's long history of volcanic activity, it's difficult to speculate on the magnitude of any potential eruption there. Although there have been approximately 80 other smaller eruptions in Yellowstone's lifetime, there have been only 3 eruptions that have been classified as supervolcanic eruptions. Along with the lava and rocks that are ejected from the volcano, it will also spew out ash and debris, regardless of the magnitude of the eruption. But based on the information we have from the past, approximately how much ash and volcanic material should we anticipate? Let's get a good look at what a volcanic eruption of this potential scale would look like, shall we? Ash and debris produced by the Yellowstone Volcano eruption. The magnitude of a volcanic super eruption is difficult to conceptualize in its entirety. Many of us can still vividly recall the devastating eruption of Mount St. Helens in 1980, which spread ash as far as the middle of the United States and sent smaller particles all over the world. On the other hand, the amount of ash and debris produced by the eruption of Mount St. Helens was approximately 1/10 of a cubic mile. Where do we stand with the potential eruption of Yellowstone Volcano? When compared, the initial supervolcanic eruptions that took place at Yellowstone millions of years ago produced a significantly greater amount of debris than those that took place at Mount St. Helens. In point of fact, the 3 enormous eruptions that resulted in the formation of 3 calderas within Yellowstone National Park generated more than 900 cubic miles worth of debris and ash between them. To put this into perspective, if the Yellowstone volcano were to erupt at this level of intensity right now, more than 3 to 4 feet of ash would fall upon the neighboring states of Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and Idaho, and lesser amounts would continue to fall upon the states that are further away. The amount of ash and debris that would be produced would, at the very least, be sufficient to cover the entire United States, with approximately 1 inch of material. Ash and debris doesn't sound like such a terrible thing, does it? The sudden precipitation of 3 to 4 feet of ash is sufficient to cause severe damage to buildings, infrastructure, and options for public transportation. The use of airplanes would come to a halt, which would result in a loss of a great number of lives. Even though this quantity of ash would not fall everywhere, even a small amount of ash is enough to cause fatal damage to the respiratory system, make driving hazardous, and kill a great number of plants and animals. Earthquakes and lava flows have been caused by the Yellowstone volcano's eruption. The number of earthquakes that occur just before a volcanic eruption is a good indicator of whether or not one will occur. Even though Yellowstone National Park already has a number of earthquakes each and every year, those earthquakes would pale in comparison to the earthquakes that would occur prior to a hypothetical eruption. Evacuations would be required due to the obvious destruction that would occur within the park and in the towns that are close by. If the earthquakes weren't enough to convince you that Yellowstone Volcano is about to erupt, the lava flows should do the trick. To our relief, lava flows can't travel as far as ash can, and it's likely that only the northernmost 50 miles of Yellowstone National Park will be impacted by the scorching heat of lava. However, there is one more surprising effect that volcanic eruptions have on our planet, and it is the opposite of burning hot magma. The temperature of our planet would decrease exponentially as a result of the volcanic eruptions. The Yellowstone volcanic eruption is causing the planet to get colder. There is no way to know exactly how much ash and debris will be ejected into the air in the event that Yellowstone experiences a volcanic eruption of the size that it is capable of producing. However, volcanic activity of any size releases particles into our atmosphere, which both block and reflect the damaging effects of sunlight and ultraviolet rays. This results in a decrease in temperature, and a supervolcano like Yellowstone could produce sufficient amounts of these particles to cool the temperature of the entire planet by multiple degrees over an extended period of time. Given the temperature at which our planet is currently operating, this may sound like a good thing. However, this sudden shift into colder temperatures would likely be catastrophic enough to cause changes in crop production and agriculture. No matter how powerful the supervolcano eruption that Yellowstone could potentially produce turns out to be, it will still have a profound effect on the entire world. What are the odds that the Yellowstone volcano will erupt? The possibility of an eruption from the Yellowstone volcano is so remote that it might as well not even exist. Numerous studies point to the fact that the volcano will not erupt during our lifetimes, and some of these studies even suggest that it will not erupt within the next 1,000 years. In point of fact, there are scientists and researchers working for Yellowstone National Park who are of the opinion that the volcano might not erupt ever again. Even though it is better to err on the side of caution than regret, it is extremely unlikely that we will ever have to deal with the devastation that would be caused by an eruption of the Yellowstone volcano. Thank goodness for that. And that's all for today's video. Tell us what you think, and if you love to watch these kinds of videos, then you should definitely subscribe to our channel.